and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known for the last 40 years as the money lady both in my hometown, nationally, and internationally. It has been a distinct pleasure, an incredible journey, and today is no exception because my commitment remains to bring you information, resources, and people to help you in your journey called life. And money, of course, drives most things. Drives your health, it drives your success in terms of financial resources, and it even drives how you die. So, power of money. I'm not a worshiper of money, but I'm not ignorant as to the benefits of money and what it can do for you and your family, particularly during these very, very challenging times, days that we've never, ever seen before. I mean, never. History tells us with climate change, and whether you like Al Gore or not, he was absolutely on point about climate change. And now here we are, trying to work through that and inflation. And I talked to you all about inflation before it became an issue. I said it's coming. You can go to some of my back broadcasts on YouTube, type in The Power of Money with Michelle Graves and type in inflation. And you will see that I spoke about inflation actually going back 5 years, before COVID even. And I said that it'll change your whole way of maneuvering through life. Inflation is the joker. I mean, whatever you thought you had in order, here's the joker. Watch how that plays out. So today, as a part of my continuing commitment to make sure you get through tough times, and again, times have never been great. I mean, this is earth, translated dirt. And for many of us, we have begun to call this heaven. And I'm telling you all, you are so sadly mistaken. Your time on this planet called Earth is predetermined, and then you're done. And so with that in mind, I continually push, particularly as I've gotten older, that you need to live your life. You need to do the things that are going to bring deep satisfaction to you, and that happens to be your families. Okay? Money cannot ever take the place of loving, caring, family relationships. Please, money cannot do that. Money's just a tool. But love comes from the heart. Okay, that's not something that can be impacted. So I want to just make sure that you understand where I'm coming from, because I do not personally believe that money ever trumps family. Money brings its own set of challenges, but so do families. And as we get older, it becomes clearer and clearer that many of us have bought a lie, which is we think that being wealthy and having everything is going to fulfill you and meet those family needs. I understand it. I used to be like that. In my younger years, woo, talk about boss. That's what the girls call it today. And I'm like, you got a sad awakening coming. Life is so much richer and deeper than boss lady. Okay? It just is. So much deeper and richer. The things that the children can bring into your life, the things that your family can bring into your life, good, bad, and ugly, but it's still family. It's still family. It still resonates with me. And I don't know, maybe it comes from being in Kentucky. And the people are poor. They don't have a whole lot, but they do have family. And family can get a whole lot more done than you being a lone ranger. It really can. So today I'm going to be talking about, and you want to get your pencils out because this is information that you will probably need and want. So I'm going to be talking about the subject of what to do with mom's home when she can no longer live there. Or it may be dad's. But the statistics say that it's mostly women. The men do tend to leave us sooner. So you've got a lot of things coming. You're watching mom getting older, and that's hard. I don't know about any of you, how you feel about this, but when you watch your parents age, that has got to be one of the most painful things as a child or family member to watch. You're watching them not being as sharp as they were or doing things that are planned and logical. You may bump into them walking by themselves, wandering. You may, and thank God for the dog, you may have situations where they are sleeping a lot, or they're transfixed in front of the television, watching MeTV or all the various things that are out that cater to older people. And as a person that likes cowboy movies, I was raised on The Rifleman. Okay, I happen to like cowboy movies a lot. I like Matt Dillon. I like Kitty. I like Cephas or Stephas. I like that. Those are childhoods. So I know that with many of us, watching that happen with your parents can be difficult, but this is all about transition. Okay, most of them are no longer in the workplace. And many of their friends have already, as the kids say, unalived. They've transitioned, that's what I call it. They've crossed over, they're gone. And so as their relationships change because of loss, I mean real loss, sickness is a loss. Dying is a loss. All kinds of things that they leave this earth from. It's the loss. It creates problems in their own thinking, which is, am I next? And the truth of the matter is, probably, but there's nothing we can do about it other than to prepare, which is what I'm talking about. But I want you to be alert to the signs so there won't be surprises. You can anticipate these things coming to pass. Okay, you can. House caring, the absence of cleanliness sometimes, which is mom was a phenomenal housekeeper and now stuff is just piling up. Well, you know, when you're 80, you don't feel like it. Okay, so what's your answer to it? Have a housekeeper come in and clean the house once a month. Pull you all's money and have the house cleaned once a month. She may not physically be able to do that. Same thing with the refrigerator. Well, God, the refrigerator looks so empty. Well, try living on a fixed income. Okay? And doing the best you can. May I submit to you that maybe you should buy her some food and stock her refrigerator up. Those are memories, okay, and it means a lot. Or if she no longer likes to cook, because frankly, a lot of senior women stopped liking to cook. Why? Because they were forced to cook in their younger years to tend to their children and their husband. They don't feel like cooking anymore. They want to go out and eat. So if you don't want that kind of story, fix an extra plate when you fix your dinner. and make sure that it gets to its destination, particularly on Sundays. You're accustomed to having a large meal on Sundays, and most of us growing up were, then why not reverse and make something very special for him or for her? I mean, particularly holidays and things. And don't expect them to come over for Christmas because they're tired. They don't want to come over for Christmas. It's painful. It takes them down memory lane. It may release triggers in their own lives as they realize that their wife is gone or their husband is gone, their neighbor's gone. All these people that are part of their world are gone. And if you don't think the heart hurts, you're incredibly naive. The heart does hurt. It is painful. They don't have any answers. But I'm trying to show you a progression that you need to be aware of. Okay? A lot of them will actually become rather mean and say mean things. And you say, well, why? Well, you probably weren't there. All marriages were not sweet and wholesome. Many times the wife was abused, not just physically, but emotionally. He said and did things to her, required things of her. She had to put up with things, and she's bitter, and it begins to ooze out. Yes, it does. Yeah, a lot of older women are just mean. And I told her, I get it. I know. But he's gone. And you got to get on with your life. And if you don't want to be completely alone, which is no family members will dare come near you, because who wants to deal with that kind of stuff, then you're going to have to make peace with yourself and peace with God. Those are the two things. But peace with yourself, because it's easier to forgive yourself and just say that life just tricked me and I did the best I could, and God knows, and have that conversation with your God so that you can leave the earth with a clear conscience. It's important. Why am I saying all of this? Because this is all building up to my subject matter for today, which is, what are we going to do with Mom's house? And fortunately, for many seniors, particularly widows whose husbands have died, and the house is conveyed to them because both of them were on the deed, which is actually proof that you own the home, and title, which actually says who's entitled to the property. Names on both. We're good. But now she's at a point where she's not able to take care of herself, and certainly not the home. The home is showing evidence of disrepair, dated, old kitchen, old roof, old people. It costs to do renovations. You have to have income coming in to support that type of thing in most cases. Unless you're getting a reverse mortgage, and at that point, you probably have all those things attended to. But for most people that are older and approaching 75, 80, they just don't want to be bothered anymore. They have come to a peace of mind that they're going to live out their days like that. So here you are, eager beaver, eager beaver, eager beaver. I know, because it was me too. Whew, that's why I'm talking to you direct. So you're observing these things, you're seeing these things, and I would suggest to you, before going any further, first thing on the list is to get your legal documents in place. That would be her will, her power of attorney, which is not just for money, but a durable power of attorney. Healthcare directive. Do you want to resuscitate it or not? These are mandatory for what's unfolding. And it can be a positive, constructive experience, or it can be a hot mess. You choose. But it begins with who has the authority legally to get involved in all of this. And you can say, but I'm her son. Well, you and 20 other people. Please make sure you know where all of her legal documents are right now, that you can get to them, and that she can as well, because many times they start forgetting. They don't even remember where they put them. So first things first, make sure mom has her financial act together. And you can be very positive and very instrumental in making sure that that does occur. But that is your first step. Making sure that the house is her house. Now you can say, well, why wouldn't it be her house? Because without seeing who has legal ownership of that asset, you don't know. Now you can always go down to the county courthouse and find out, because the records are right there. You can find out if you don't want to ask her, but I would challenge you to begin the communication flow. You really do want to know what's going on in your mom's life. And it begins by having her estate work in order. You want to make sure while you're doing this that her bank account, have they named on her bank account what we call a POD? Someone in the event of her demise that the bank can release the money to. If no one is in place for a POD, at the time of death, the account is frozen and it becomes an item for the courts called probate. You don't get any of that money, okay? In the same wise, you want to make sure that she has life insurance. Whether it's paid for or active, you want to make sure that that instrument and that contract is in place and that she hasn't lapsed it, because many elderly people, like I said, they forget to pay. And you may have to do catch up. I have one individual, and that's what I told him. I said, it's kind of like that advertisement on TV about pay me now or pay me later, but you're going to pay me. And if a person has life insurance, you need to know who is the carrier, how much is the coverage, whether there is any cash value depending upon the plan, and who is the beneficiary. Okay? If they have lapsed, you want to be able to call and have it reinstated if you can. That's a lot of money that's out the drain if they don't reinstate. Will you have to pay for reinstatement? Probably. Yeah, you will. But you know what? If you don't have insurance, you're going to pay for it anyway. Okay? That's a sad reality. You're going to pay for it anyway. So let me encourage you to have those pieces in place now. Things that need to be decluttered, all of that, now is the time to talk to her about charitable giving, even if it's just a bunch of those little things, doodads that they put all over the place. They don't have enough value, but they do clutter a home. Okay, so you may want to talk to her about kind of streamlining so that things can be manageable. It's important that they're manageable and that the house smells clean. Really important, basic. So I've talked to you about the importance of the estate planning. Talked to you about the necessity of the POD at the bank, which any bank branch manager can pull. But she has to sign that document, not you, naming who she wants his money at the bank or in her CD or in other instruments that are bank related. Where does she want this money to go? Now, if she's got money in 401ks and all that, there's a beneficiary on that account. When she set it up or he set it up, they had to make a beneficiary designation. And that's, again, something that you'd like to know about before things got woolly, because insurance companies are here to make money. They're not here to give you counseling. If you call and you are not authorized through the POA, they may not talk to you at all. It's a contract between they and her, or her designated owner. Okay? These are little things that people don't think about until it happens, and then I get a phone call like, "Money lady, they won't let me talk to nobody will let me." Okay, back to square one. Where is your documentation naming you as the person she's authorized to talk about her financial affairs? It's a financial power of attorney, okay, or her health care, or those things. So it's important that that be done, and the reason being is because if you can't get these basic things done, then trying to dispose of this property is going to be like, oh no, oh, did I volunteer to do that? Now I will tell you for myself, I don't want anything to do with property disposition. Why? Because family politics, okay? How do we want to do this? So let's assume that as a result of this television conversation, that you've now getting her estate work, deal with estate planning attorneys only. Please, not general practitioners. It's like a doctor when you have cancer. The doctor was there for when you were healthy. An oncologist is there because you have a condition. The same thing with attorneys. General practice attorneys do things generally. I didn't say that was bad, but an estate planning attorney, that is their specialty, and I would strongly recommend that that's where you begin getting all things set in order. And I absolutely know some remarkable estate planning attorneys. I do. And that's all they do, and that's fine with me. So, you got all that together, clear about her bank account, all that kind of stuff. You looked around the house and you have said, something has to give. Something has to give here. Okay, mom cannot stay here. But mom does not want to leave. Mom's very comfortable in her world or his world. This is their familiar. And please do not be so arrogant as to assume that they are ready to throw in the towel. They're not ready to throw in the towel. They don't believe it's happening around them. They're looking at TV. They don't know. They don't go to church much anymore. And their world is very contained. Okay? I don't know if you spend time and visit them. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you do. It'll bless you. Okay? So, here we go. Estate planning is in order. Life insurance is in order for her burial. Now, please recognize, I'm giving you some advance. If she has life insurance that has cash value, known as whole life, and should she go on Medicaid, which is health care for the poor, they're going to require that cash value to be liquidated to pay for her costs, her attendant costs. So I urge everyone, if she does have life insurance, why not go on and take the next step and go on and do a pre-need with a funeral home and find out what it's going to cost. Will they take assignment of the contract? That's important, because if they take assignment of the contract, you don't have to worry about Medicaid. They are now the assignee of the contract. The proceeds at death will be used to pay for her funeralization. They will not be paid for her Medicaid premium or anything like that. That's not going to happen. Okay, now we're looking at the house, and the first thing you want to do is you want to determine what is the condition of the home and what is the value of the home. And why? Because there may be some options. Okay? There may be some options. But you can't do that if you don't know the condition of the property. So I would suggest that you have an inspection done. Any real estate company can refer you to inspectors, house inspectors, that can tell you the condition of the home, the basement, flooding, water heater. She had compromised things in the past from wet. What's the roof look like? Important. What does the condition of the floors look like? Cosmetic? What? You need to look at what is the furnace doing. Does she have a Caterpillar furnace with the little big vents going everywhere? If it is, has it been inspected? Is it in good working order? Same thing with the water heater. You want to do a thorough, why do you want to do it? Because again, if you don't know the situation and you haven't quantified the cost, then you are not going to make good decisions. So I'm laying the foundation so that you can get professional help. Now, again, with so many families, well, I don't want to pay. What did I tell you about Fram oil? Pay me now or pay me later. Without a comprehensive home inspection, number one, should you want to sell the home, you don't even know what the house has wrong with it, okay, so that you can talk reasonably with a real estate agent to assist. You have the documentation, you know what you're looking. If you want to talk to an investor who will buy property as is, you just won't get maximum price, and maybe it doesn't matter since she's going to spend it all anyway if she's in a facility. Okay? That's the truth. So let's get going here. So you've had, you looked at mom. You might want to talk to her doctor, her primary care physician. Now under HIPAA, which is a privacy requirement, you can't just talk to her doctor. Those power of attorney documents have to be in place. The power of attorney for health care has to be in place so that you can talk to the professionals who can assess you about your mother's condition, health, as well as mental condition. If they suspect Alzheimer, they will want to do cognitive tests to determine if that is the fact or if she's just not eating well and it's got problems. Eating well can be fixed. Why? By making sure there's adequate food to feed them. But cognitive issues like Alzheimer and dementia, some people say, oh, they're senile. Stop using that term, okay? Because there is a root with Alzheimer where the frontal lobe is not receiving information, and therefore they cannot retain any thoughts. It is progressive, degenerative, And in the end, a person does not transition based on Alzheimer. They transition because the brain did not tell the heart to beat. And they have a heart attack and they cross over. So the cause of death was heart attack, but the real cause of death was Alzheimer. The death certificate is going to say heart attack, okay? But the medical diagnosis is probably going to be advanced stage Alzheimer. This stuff is information that you need to know. So while you're looking at the house, you might as well arrange for time to go with her to meet her doctor so that they can pull her history, and with her authorization of you there, they can talk openly with you about your mom. This is something that will give you peace of mind when you know that this is just not occurring, that this is real. So, Mom has a heart condition. Mom is experiencing diabetic symptoms. Mom is not remembering to take her medications, which is why things have accelerated. So, what are you going to do? Well, this is back to families again. Family meeting time. Evidence presented. Decisions have to be made. Who's willing to take care of Mom? I just bet you nobody's going to raise their hand. Or they can say, well, I'm limited, but I got this going. I work, I got kids, I got a husband, I got. Okay, better to learn it now than later. I was in a situation. I've got so many stories from all these years of working with seniors. But I was in a situation where the mom had a home. It still had a mortgage on it from her husband. And her condition was deteriorating. And so a family meeting was called, and I was called to share with them options. Well, you know what? I shared with them options, and they was hotter than fish grease. Like, what? You're talking to us like she is old. I said, 87 constitutes old. And your mother is still working every day at a beauty cosmetics situation, and she can barely walk to the counter. Is something wrong with that story? Yes. But she wasn't getting enough money to be able to make the mortgage payments. So I recommended, and mind you, I don't even sell the product. I don't do mortgages at all. I owned a mortgage company many years ago and sold it, and I know the business, but I am not the professional. But I did tell them what I thought would answer her problem, which was, well, Mom may not need to leave the house. Maybe we can position her so she doesn't have to work, and she can live off of the money she gets from a reverse mortgage. And did I say the devil walked in that room and said, watch me? They went berserk. They began to pounce on me. Like I was recommending that she lose her home. I said, you cannot lose your home with a reverse mortgage. It's a federal program. It's national. It's been around for 40 years. I'm just telling you that you're going to lose her if she's got to go to work every day to make pennies to make a mortgage on a house. That's not logical. We can work it different. Now, you are going to have to deal with that same scenario, because after you've done all the prep work and you're looking at what you're looking at, you know her health state, you know her housing state, you should know all her bank accounts, etc. If you've done the POD, you can look at whatever assets she has, and then you can begin to paint a picture of Mom It's important that you paint a picture of mom that's based on facts and not fantasy. Okay? She'll tell you, I'm fine, child. Baby. And it's like, how is this possible when you can't pay your water bill and your gas and electric bill? They got you on a budget plan and you're not even making that. Girl, the Lord will provide. Excuse me. The Lord, unless he pays Duke Energy or whomever your energy provider is, she gonna be in the dark and freezing. Right. So the question then becomes, if you don't want to keep the house, because she can't, then do you want to move her into a senior living facility that she can stay with other similarly positioned seniors? And at that point, you might have a little money from the liquidation of the home, selling it to investors if you don't want to fix it, or doing a reverse mortgage and keeping her in the house with all things fixed, or moving her in a situation which is affordable for her based upon her income, limited income. And this is important because you may not even know what your mom makes. Seniors are so private. I don't want to tell you my business. Okay. Well, if you go into any kind of a facility or income verification senior housing, they're going to ask these questions and more. And they're going to want proof, bank statements, 401k disposition, managed, cars. They're going to want to see everything you got. So the response has got to be to her, would you rather me look at it or would you rather a stranger look at it? Your choice. She may not want you to look at it because she's embarrassed. For real. Because it's embarrassing not to be able to pay your bills in that generation. Now, this generation we got here today, oh, whatever. Run with whatever you can run with and catch me if you can. But they were honorable people. And they paid their bills. And they took care of their children. And for her to be in this kind of situation is probably embarrassing, shameful to her, and she's probably feeling very guilty. But the conversation begins with, as I've told you, let's do a snapshot, click, click, of where mom is. And then based on that, we can make some moves and determinations as a family. As a family. She would love that. You're probably not going to love it because anytime you're dealing with more than one person in decision making, it can be all over the place. But I would submit to you that it is a struggle worth having. It's a struggle worth having because families have so long not talked to each other. And now here we are. And you'll be amazed at the response you're going to get from your beloved siblings. Why are you having a home inspector come to the house? Because we need to see what the value of the house is based upon things that are broken, known as deferred maintenance. We need to know if there's a foundation problem since the basement smelled like water. We need to know these things. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Now, I myself, I defer. I know how to do all this. But who wants a smarty pants? Nobody wants that. Let them figure it out. And if they want to ask you or you feel like you can contribute in a quiet and humble way, then you do. Otherwise, shut the heck up and let them work it out, okay? If the legal documents are in place and if you're the POA, then it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter. It'll get all worked out. So, back to this house thing. She's not deceased. but she can't stay there. So now you have to determine, based upon the income information you have, where she can live. And be candid with you, demand is so much greater than supply right now with these senior home facilities. You're going to be on a waiting list. I mean, for real. Sometimes, depending upon the desirability of the facility, it may be as much as 2 years. So the question then becomes, well, this is not the way I thought. Maybe mom should stay home. Well, if she can, and she doesn't have to deal with a mortgage, then maybe she should. And maybe you should do a reverse so that she can get the money, so that she can do the work on the home, and maybe be able to pay a caregiver to come in to make sure things are washed, cleaned. They don't have to be nurses. Council on Aging and any aging agency, nonprofit, can assist you in identification of people that will do that kind of work, okay, for her. If she does need medication dispensed, that's another service, and that's through nurses. And again, you can get that done, but it's all going to cost money. Oh, did I forget that? It's all going to cost money. So, who is going to be the financially responsible party here to pay for this? This may be a come to Jesus moment, because somebody has to be on the hook for these bills. Period. If they can't count on her, then can they count on you? Or whom? Ever. So that's a consideration. If you are considering that as we speak, you need to go on and get the list. It's in most senior buildings of the different apartment style living that's available, what the rents look like, qualifications, and then let's just get to it. Okay, you have what you need for her to go into a place. If she goes into the place, the home will probably have to be sold. Please do not talk about setting up a situation where the family wants a family home, but, sorry, with a reverse mortgage, they cannot live in that home. No way. So you say, well, maybe we can sell the home. Well, good. As long as it is clean and appliances updated, all the things you would require, or sell it to an investor who will give you rock bottom until you have a nice day. Those are your options. Do I have an answer? Well, truthfully, this is my thing. I think you need to fix the stuff that has not been updated. So the house has marketability, okay? And then you need to have a I got junk sale where all the stuff that she really does not need can be dumped. Not donated. You do not donate poorly kept items. That's offensive. If the sofa has holes and tears in it that date back to when you were a child, so the whole sofa's got to be 40-ish, no, you're not going to give that to charity. You're going to get rid of it. You can put something on Marketplace and on Facebook and see if somebody will come and get it free. Just come and get it. Out. No money expected, no money provided. Okay? So, where are we at now with mom? Well, mom has decided that she wants to rent the house and move. And your response is, when you rent it, who's going to be the property manager? Me? I don't have time to do that. How are we going to do this? Well, son, you're going to have to make the time because I'm not going to do it. But if I could rent that house, then I would have enough money to move into another apartment. You don't think this happens? Let me give you a story, real time right now. There was a woman who wanted to qualify for Medicaid. Why? Because Medicaid, if you're over 65 and you qualify for Medicaid and you have the Part C of Medicare, you got some benefits. Food, rent, utilities. It's a very rich package if you are on both. It doesn't work for people that are just on Medicare. That's me. We don't get nothing because we are not considered impoverished. So she wanted to qualify for Medicaid, and I said, you can't because you have a home. Well, why can't I have a home? Because a home represents an asset which represents money, and you cannot be poor and getting money from rent. Well, let me fast forward. She did rent the house out, as is. She didn't fix anything. And she moved into a regular apartment, which for her was probably fine. Now the children, I don't know, because at some point, she may not be able to live in her apartment. Her health may continue to downward spiral, and she's looking to move into a safe, affordable option. Okay? So if that's the case, then you got to sell the house, which brings me right back to what I said. Are you going to sell it as a fixer-upper? Are you going to sell it as a completely redone place? Well, based upon the activity that I'm looking at in the market, a lot of seniors are just saying, take it and give me something for my house. Is that the optimal way to deal with investors? In my opinion, no. But I'm not you. This may work for you. Okay, but the bottom line is that mom cannot qualify for Medicaid coverage if she owns her home and there's significant equity in the home. Nope, that's a nope, not going to happen. So prepare yourself again for that alternative. Now, let's move to the second possibility or stage. Mom has surgery, does not recover, and has to go into a facility. She's living at home with all these deferred maintenance issues, but she's now got to go into a nursing home. And because she would not dispose of the property when she could, she comes into nursing home for a prescribed period of time where she must get better or she has to go back home. Period. The government does not carry people who are not, who have the capacity to improve. Okay? They're not going to do that. They'll let you try to recover, but they're not going to do that. So, here we go. She's got to go. You're like, this is outrageous. Without being callous. And I say this all the daggone time. Excuse the term daggone. That's a Kentucky thing. All the daggone time. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You got to make some choices and decisions. On my previous show where I talked to Don Graves out of Philadelphia who handles reverse mortgages, the hardest thing in life is decisions. Let them not be based on emotion. Let them be based upon the hard, cold facts and go from there. So your mother goes into Medicare because she don't want to give up nothing. So here we are. Okay? She's in a nursing home. She crosses over. Oh, no. Yes. So many seniors are leaving. It's unspeakable. But now, and here's the plus, because you have all things in order, per the will, per instructions, the house can be disposed of, the funeralization can be taken care of, and any legacy gifting from her accounts are now in motion based upon her will. Does that sound simple? It's painful, but it's very simple. Things move on easily. Now, if you did none of the above, and you're just sitting on your fingers trying to see if it's going to work out, then when she does cross over, oh, you got hell on your hands. Why? Because without a will, you're going to go through probate. Without the house being properly titled, you may not be able to get it sold quickly. You certainly cannot get repairs on it if you're not her executor, because when you die, the power of attorney is no longer in effect. It's whatever the will, the trust, whatever instrument you have in place so designates. You have now stepped into a big fat mess. Sister girl wants to live in mom's house. Excuse me, that all has to be probated, and Duke Energy is not going to change the owner of the property without documentation. So you're living on life support. She's in the house, but it's only for a minute. Water's going to get shut off, electric's going to get shut off, and ultimately you're going to get shut off, because this system is in place because of laws and regulations, and the unlawful occupancy of a home does not work, family included. Okay, well, I just need a little time to crib. Well, how, who, what, huh? There you have it. Have I been clear? Have I talked about some things you did not know? Giving you some options? And again, in closing today's segment of The Power of Money, I'm your host, Michelle Graves, and we're talking about what to do with your mom's house. I hope you've learned a bit, and I thank you so much for being a part of my world. And oh, by the way, just so you will know, been there, done that. It was easy if all things are in place. But if not, gonna be something. Talk to you later. You take care of yourself, and God bless you so much for being a part of my world. Bye-bye.